Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T. Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T. She is the T in T.
Okay, so I have to tell you, it's always a joy for me when people pull up a seat to the desk and meet with T. Welcome back to another episode. I have quite a few out there now. I hope you're consuming them all. Another episode to Sweet Tea Time. And today, I think I'm going to get a little personal with you just because of the season of life I am. Around this time every year, my daughter celebrates her birthday, and she's finishing up the last year in her 20s. And every time her birthday comes around, I'm reminded of a moment in time where I was face to face with a very almighty God. Now, I don't always go to this vein of things, but I think it's vitally important that, since we're knowing each other and we're learning from each other, that maybe you should know this about me. I am a woman of faith. And about 19 years ago, I was living in, a very nice house and, raising 3 kids and, the busyness of Saturdays. You're going here, you're going there, soccer and dance and things like that. Well, this particular Saturday, just busy running around. I had just started, building my own company, and I'm rushing through the house. I'm getting the baby in the car. My oldest daughter's here, there. And my youngest daughter, she would take baths and, bath time, water time, any body of water, that's her thing, like pools, oceans, things like that. So I knew if she took a bath this morning that she might be a while. But anyways, I'm running up and down the hallway, just trying to get the stuff in the car. And then, just instinct, call it a mommy instinct or the, your spirit just had me stop in front of the bathroom door because I didn't hear anything. And that was very out of the norm for her. She's in the bathtub. She's having the time of her life, 10-year-old girl. And so anyways, I stopped at the bathroom door because I didn't hear anything. And so I opened the door, slowly because I was going to charge in and say, let's go, we got to go. We're on the clock. But there was the room was still and it was cold, like not temperature cold, but I could feel, it was bad cold. And so I'm scanning the bathroom, just, I'm looking for a detail to so I could have her snap too. But the shower curtain was closed. And I noticed there's water all over the floor. And so, I didn't run to the bathtub. I just I slowly moved towards it because I knew whatever I was walking into, it wasn't good. And so I pulled the curtain back and, I was sharing this story recently and, it still brings me to tears, but not tears of sadness. It's tears of gratitude for the miracles that have happened from this moment. And so I pull the curtain back and I see my baby girl. She's in the water. The water's up, and she's slumped into the bathtub, and the level of water was covering her nose, her mouth, and just came right under her eye. One of her eyes were rolled back. She was totally blue. And I knew in an instant, that whatever I let come out of my mouth was critical. And, sometimes you'll watch a movie or, someone will be sharing their story and they tell you how their life flashed before their eyes. I literally had that experience. It was maybe 50 moments with my daughter, like her, wanting me to read her a bedtime story, me wanting to sing to her, her coming in my room, but I'm on my cell phone so that she could tell me goodnight, but I was too busy on the phone to give her the attention she needed to give her a proper goodnight. And so it was all these moments, boom, 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 boom. And this all happened in a millisecond. And then that last moment, I was standing by myself in front of a very tall building. and I could feel her presence leave my world. Like the presence of her was no longer in my world. And so when I had that experience, I knew that whatever came out of my mouth, you know, was critical. And I don't even think I thought these words. I think these words came from my heart, from my spirit. I said, God, I can't survive this. You have to help me. I knew in that moment, if I lost my baby girl, I wasn't, I don't know that I could have survived losing her. And the moment I said that, I started getting another set of pictures in my mind. Now, listen, I'm sharing all this with you because I'm going somewhere with it. And my hope is to help you with your healing process. So I'm not crazy, but I got another set of images in my mind, and I saw myself lift her out of the bathtub. Now I'm tall on the inside, but I'm a little, 5'4", little something. By the time my daughter was 10, everybody in my family are Amazon, tall, beautiful women and tall, beautiful men. I'm a little on the spry side. I'm tall on the inside. So anyhow, she was taller than me. She was heavier than me. And so the fact that I could get her out of the bathtub by myself, that was miracle number one. That was technically miracle number two. And so I got her out of the bathtub, and then I didn't know what to do next. She wasn't breathing. She didn't have a pulse. And, you could very easily go into panic. But again, I got another picture of just me doing CPR. That's not something that I went to school for. You see it on television, but you don't really know the mechanics of it unless somebody teaches you. But I'm seeing the picture of me doing this. So I just did what I saw. And so doing that for a handful of minutes, I was able to get her heart beating again. But she wasn't breathing. So I would do the chest compressions, and then I would breathe into her. And I did that again for another handful of minutes. And because she wasn't breathing, I had to keep breathing for her. And breathing for her and breathing for myself, I started to feel myself get really lightheaded and start to black out. And again, I made the same statement, in the form of, a desperate prayer. God, I need help. And in that instant, there was a firefighter that showed up in the doorway of the bathroom. And he said, ma'am, we'll take it from here. And I think, I don't know how 911 was called. I think maybe my older daughter, may have made the phone call. I never communicated with her. I never saw her, but there was the firefighter. And so, they put her in the ambulance. Again, they're breathing for her. We get to the hospital, and, I don't have a ton of answers because she was in the bathroom by herself. I was running around. How long was she under? I don't know. What happened before? I don't know. I just know there's water all over the floor. So anyhow, we're in the hospital. They have her on this metal slab, and it's not even like a table. They're trying to, figure her out. They're trying to assess the brain damage and all the things. And the doctor comes to me, and he's a doctor. He's preparing me for the absolute worst. And he's telling me, in situations like this, we've seen this, we've seen this. She may never do this. She may never do that. And at this point, she's in a coma and she's not breathing on her own. And, as a parent, it would be easy to, melt down and panic. But I was so resolved. And I don't even know where it came from. Again, I'm telling you my miracle story. I don't even know where it came from. But I was so resolved that somehow we would beat the odds. And so the doctor is telling me all these things. And I asked the doctor, what percentage of people, now again, listen to this question. Listen to this question during a time of absolute crisis and potential panic. I asked the doctor, so he's telling me the percentage of all the things that's going to happen. I said, but what percentage of people make it? He says, I don't know how to answer that question. I said, try. And I wouldn't let him go into anything else until he gave me a number. And so he says less than 10%. Out of my mouth, again, I'm telling you a miracle here. Out of my mouth, I declared with so much boldness and audacity, we're in that 10%. And so I didn't let anybody say anything different. I didn't let anybody in the room with her that would suggest something different, because I knew that we were fighting for her life. And so fast forward a tiny bit, she's in a coma. She's still on the breathing machine. And, I'm at the hospital, they're trying to figure things out. All the family is starting to show up, and, people, they're crying, they're upset. What do we do? What do we do? And, there's something to be said about just holding steady. I'm taught that, we stand there for until we get what we're standing there for. So sometimes you don't have anything else to give in a situation like this, but just stand. And so I was in that moment where all I had to give was I just stood there. I couldn't sleep. I wasn't eating, but I would just stand there, almost like I was guarding the potential of my daughter, coming out of this thing. And so my mom, who's notoriously out of town when things like this happen in my life, was out of town. And, my mom and I have a bit of a unique relationship. And during this time, it was a little on the not so great side. And so I was angry that I was in this thing, I felt alone in this thing, and I didn't have I didn't feel like I had the support of the people that should be supporting me during this. And so anyhow, she finally makes her way back to, where we are, the city we're in. And she comes to the hospital. Now, when she comes to the hospital, at this point, my daughter's been in a coma. They're speaking doom and gloom. And everybody that was in the hospital room, we're all just like, we were very statuesque. And so she thunders in the room. Now, my mom is a little on the, ghetto fabulous side. So she comes in with her designer bag full of stuff, her red nails, her red lipstick. And she just comes in the room like she owns the thing. And I had two responses in that moment. One was, was light relief. My mom's a fighter, I'm a fighter. And it was light relief. But the second thing was like good old fashioned 16-year-old girl embarrassment. Like, that's my mom. Like, really, mom? Like, really? And so my mom doesn't really look at any of us. She goes straight to my daughter. She gets in her face. Now, again, my daughter's in a coma. She's got the tube down her throat, the whole everything, the beeping monitors and all that stuff. She gets right in my daughter's face. And she calls her name, Asia, Asia. And everybody in the room goes into shock. Why? Asia opens her eyes. Now, this is what the doctor said she may never do. She opens her eyes and looks right at my mom. So again, my emotional response goes from, wow, my mom is here, to, oh, it's so embarrassing, my mom's here. And I start to feel red. I got angry. She opened her eyes for my mom. What the? Okay. So then my mom goes on to say, Asia, do you know who I am? And Asia goes, because she still has a thing down her throat, right? So not only does she open her eyes for my mom, she also recognizes my mom. Now, they said they don't know how long she's been under, brain damage, the stuff. She may not have memory when she comes back. I mean, all the things. She's proven that she's defying all those things in this one instant with my mom thundering in the room and showing everybody who's boss. Then she says, Asia, do you know who I am? Asia says, she nods her head, yes. And then she says, who am I? And then my daughter says, she's trying to say the words, we don't call my mom, my kids don't call my mom grandma. They call her Grammy. She says, Grammy, like that. I said, doggone it. And she said her name too. And so my mom then stands up. She looks around the room at all of us, but she gave us that look like, what's wrong with all of you that you couldn't do what I just did? And so, of course, I was getting a little agitated. At this point, I was angry. I was angry really because I knew that my mom would never let me live it down. She came in there, my daughter woke up for her and knew who she was and said her name. So anyhow, it's been a thing for the past, 20 years. Almost. And so anyhow, my daughter woke up and she was breathing on her own. They took the tube out, the whole thing. So in this instant, everything changed. And so she just celebrated her 29th birthday. And for me personally, I like to, I don't stay in the moment in that I continue to traumatize myself because of the moment. But I do revisit the moment because of my extreme gratitude for, and I'm just sharing with you a couple of things by way of miracle, but that experience, that season of my life was so dense with miraculous happenings that it made it impossible to deny that surely there must be a God. And not only is there a God, he sees T. And he not only saw me and my daughter in that moment, he helped me do things that I had no idea, no training, or capacity to do. I said things, I had a strength and a boldness that I know did not come from me. And so, why am I sharing all of this with you? Because sometimes you can go through very difficult, traumatic times, and your healing process takes time. And I think that sometimes you can also go through things that are meant to break you. And I know that moment was designed to kill my daughter. It was designed to take my daughter, but it was also designed to break me. And I look at, I look at how far we've both come. Because after she came out of the coma, there were so many things that we have to do after that. So just so I forgot this fact. And so the what happened to her in the bathtub is she had a grand mal seizure. So we didn't know that she was battling with epilepsy. And so our first indicator of that was her having a grand mal seizure in the bathtub that day. And so when she came out of it, the chemical issues still existed. And so even though she survived, the drowning, she came back to life. She everything they said she wouldn't do. She may not be able to walk. She would lose her mobility skills. She wouldn't remember things, long-term, short-term memory loss, all those sorts of things. She beat them. She beat all the odds. She really, truly was in the less than 10%. And she became a poster child for other people. For years, she's been encouraging people with her life. And I think the gift that this world would have been robbed of if she didn't make it would have been tremendous. But she's still here. She's still fighting, and she's still helping and loving people. And revisiting that moment every year, not so that we can feel bad about it, but so that we could extend gratitude for everything it taught us. Because after she came out of the coma, we still had the battle of epilepsy. And she didn't have one type, she had two types of epilepsy that we had to deal with. And then all the things connected to that, like her injuries when she would go into an episode, and how difficult it was for her socially at school, how difficult it was for us as a family, not knowing when these things were going to come, and even what to do when they came, and the damage it was doing to not just her physically, but all of us emotionally. We were all trauma informed and emotionally scarred as a result of this thing for 10 years. I can say that she's totally free from them now. And she's just an amazing human being. I tell her all the time, you're one of the most amazing humans I know. And I'm inspired by her every day. Every day she inspires me, her kindness, her compassion with people, her determination to just do something wonderful with her life. It's inspiring to me, and people think I'm inspiring. I think my daughter's inspiring. But the reason I wanted to share all this with you is I realized this year, she's wrapping up her 20s, that I am finishing my healing process. And I believe that sometimes when people have a happening, it's easy to sweep things under the rug. It's also easy to stay in the trauma of it. And I think sometimes you can go back to the moment so that you can re-feel the pain, so the pain doesn't ever get a chance to heal. And so, the hope in sharing this with you today is, number one, miracles still happen. They still happen. They happen for those who believe. And I know that sometimes people don't believe, or sometimes people believe in other things, but I'm telling you what I believe, and I'm telling you what worked for me. But miracles still happen. They still happen today. I think the second thing is, yes, you lived the trauma moment, whatever your trauma moment is, but there's always lessons to grow from in those trauma moments. And so being intentional about what this teaches you, how this strengthens you, how it builds, what it builds in you, I think is more critical than the happening itself. Most people don't draw the lessons from hard times. They let the hard time happen to them instead of letting that hard thing develop something in them and happen for them. And I just learned from this experience that this thing didn't happen to us, it happened for us. We're dramatically different human beings walking this planet and serving others as a result of having that miraculous experience. So just recognizing that there are lessons to be learned out of every hard thing that you are tasked to endure. And I think the third thing is, and this is where, culturally I find, our people miss it some, is that you don't allow the fullness of time needed for your healing process. Now, I told you this happened 10 years ago, or excuse me, when my daughter was 10. So, it's almost 20 years. This experience is almost 20 years old. And I think I teared up less this time than I have in years past. Years past, I could weep over it. But this time I had tears of gratitude for it. And that helped me see that I'm on the tail end of the healing process. It took almost 20 years for me to heal, to fully heal and restore from this thing. Because again, you can carry with you the panic of what if this happens again? What if she dies? What if she has a seizure and this happens? What if she stops breathing? What ifs? You can be so overwhelmed with the what ifs that instead of your faith and your hope forward, you're anchored in the fear of the multitude of what ifs. And so anyhow, the third thing is give yourself the gift of time to heal. None of this could be healed, resolved, restored overnight. It was too much of a trauma, and it didn't affect me only or my daughter only. This thing touched our entire family, from my mom down to, cousins and little cousins, and, even the people that strangers that heard the story about the girl who drowned in the bathtub. Like it touched a lot of people. We had churches praying. I mean, we had so many people activated around this thing because it was such a tragic moment and had the potential to turn out completely differently than it did. And so I'm saying that, sometimes you need the time you need the time to restore from that. And so I'm learning that, this 20-year process, it taught us a few things. But if if we weren't, because really I became her coach, the mom-daughter relationship was still there. But really I became the coach that was championing her forward. She's the one that had to deal with it, but I was the, Uncle Paulie in the corners, refusing to throw in the towel, telling her, get in there, Rocky, and throw another blow. And so again, this collaborative thing between her and myself, it's been 20 years, and this is the first year that we've celebrated her life without the blanket of her death. And so my hope in sharing this personal moment with you is that you will find, the moment of trauma that still blankets you sometimes with darkness, because it's cyclical and it comes around every year or every season. And you'll allow yourself to do a couple things. Number one, where are the lessons learned from it? Number two, where are the miracles that can be gained from it? And number three, how much time do you need to heal from it? Because it is a process and time does heal. And as you discover those things, evaluate those things for yourself, I think you need to land with some sort of celebration. It didn't happen to you as something that you made it through. And that's life, right? You know, we're walking this planet, we're dealing with other people. There's trauma, there's drama everywhere. It's like one big college until you graduate from it. It's going to be one lesson after the other after the other. But I don't know that they're designed to break you. I think they're designed to make you. And I think that most often the people that don't make it, or the people that resolve and settle for less, are the people who don't see themselves. I think that there is tremendous greatness in every human being. And I think we're designed to do miraculous things. I think the only time we don't do that is when we don't take the time to know ourselves, know a creator, and allow ourselves to go through these hard moments that show you how strong you really are. And so, my encouragement to anyone who consumes this is that, no matter how bad it was, you're still here. You're still standing. That means there is still hope and you still have a bright future. So take the time you need to heal from the things you need to heal from. But do not quit in your fight forward and your flight upward. You were designed to win. You were designed to thrive. You were designed to impact other people with your very existence. So never lose your grip on the magnificent you that you were created to be, because there is someone else's life that is counting on you showing up every day and having the wherewithal to stand in who you are and what you bring to this world. So thank you for listening to my miracle testimony. And thank you for tuning in. If you think this is going to help somebody graduate from a place of hurt and pain and darkness, make sure you share it with them. Make sure they know they're not alone in their fight. And there's a community of people that are cheering for their best, their light, their hope, their bright. And make sure you subscribe, leave comments if this is something that has helped you, or if you have an experience that you think will help other people that you've made it through. Share that kind of stuff. We need it. We need each other more today than ever. And make sure you tune back in next week. I promise you I'll have another good one for you. And please know, on a very, very personal note, thank you. Thank you for giving me the space, the time, the attention, and the confidence that I can share something personal with you, and that hopefully it'll help. So thank you again for tuning in to Sweet Tea Time, and I'll see you next time.